What stirs the soul to cast the lines, hoist the sails, and leave comfort of shore behind? Tonight, we meet Juliet of sailing vessel Spica, who sails an Island Packet 35 out of New Smyrna Beach, Florida. With her loyal, four-legged crew and a mix of solo sailing and sailing with a crew. Juliet has some exciting sailing plans on the horizon, and while the details are still coming together, her course is clearly set for adventure. She is also a life coach, blending mindset, purpose, and passion for the sailing lifestyle. In this episode, we'll find out what first got her into sailing and how it's evolved over time, and how she's preparing for whatever comes next. But first, quick favor, hit like, subscribe, and share this video. And don't be shy. Drop your comments in the live chat on YouTube or Facebook so Juliet can reply in real time. I'm Captain Tinsley of Salty Abandon and Island Packet 320 Sailboat, and this is the Salty Podcast, episode 56. Juliet, welcome to the podcast.
Thank
Hello,
you.
hello.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure to meet you. And all right, so I do have a first question. Here we go. We'll start at the beginning. How did you first get into sailing? Was there a moment that hooked you?
Absolutely. It's a little bit of a backstory. One of my girlfriends and I were sitting there. We were talking on the phone, and we were talking about starting a channel, and we were talking about just fishing. And then I went home and spoke to my husband, and we were empty nesters, and we didn't use half the house. And we were kind of having that realization, and we both are pretty adventurous and we like doing things. So we decided to go up to Annapolis and do the school where they allowed you to stay on the boat for 4 days. And It's an island packet. And so during that time, we were looking at like Benetto's, the Cape Dory, and the Island Packet. Those were the three like great brands that we were considering. But once we did the school, I was hooked. 100% hooked. I was all in. I wanted to definitely live on a sailboat.
That's interesting. So is that ASA 104 class?
Yep.
Yes, I took that class too. And you were on an Island Packet for the class.
Yeah, it was a 32.
Okay. All right. So so my next question is about your Island Packet 35. What made you choose that particular boat?
Well, it was a couple things. The couple that I met felt very similar to me. So for me on routine, I had spent about a year looking for vessels that was going to fit the needs and everything that I wanted. At the time, I had 2 dogs, a German Shepherd and a Pit Bull. And so room was a factor for sure, with 2 humans and 2 dogs. And every Cape Dory and every Benetto was a little bit too narrow. So the Island Packet was definitely the way to go. And when I met that couple, it was instant. I knew that was the boat. That was the couple. Everything just kind of synced. And it was...
Now, are you talking about the couple that owned the boat?
Prior, yes. The people that I purchased the vessel from, yes.
All right. And you said they were living on it for 11 years. You were saying offline, 11 years in the Keys.
They sure did. They were wild animals. I aspire to be exactly like that. They were really cool to me, and ended up staying friends with them because of that. So they taught me a lot about this vessel.
Well, if do you mind saying their names?
Anne and Daryl.
Okay. And did they stay in a marina, or what's the last name?
Sadler.
Okay.
Sadler. Yeah. And the vessel, before I renamed it Spica, it was Alibi. So a lot of people should know the vessel as Alibi down in the Keys because it was there for 11 years.
And do you know where they kept it, or was it at a marina, or were they living on the hook?
On the hook.
Oh.
They were divers, so they would teach people how to dive that would come, and so they had to get creative in that income to support like that life, just as we all do.
Wow. Yeah, we all have to try to support this life, don't we?
Right. Yeah.
All
You
right.
end up loving it so much, though, it becomes like the dragon eating the tail. So it's okay because it's like what your passion or what your interests are. And so putting money into that is just kind of okay.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I've spent like $1 million on my boat, but that's okay.
It's totally okay.
Now, do you remember your first solo sail? Because I know you've soloed. You don't solo all the time, but I know you've soloed.
Um, I have, and it wasn't 100% by choice because we were just separated at the time, and it was genuinely, if I'm honest, terrifying because I didn't have the experience. I had the knowledge, but not the actual experience, and so putting everything connected,
Right.
it was overwhelming. If I'm just honest, it wasn't like a pleasurable experience. I was like, oh snap, and then got some squalls that forced uh, the boat to come unanchored and had to handle that, and another vessel hit this vessel, and so it was kind of like ripping a band-aid off. It was kind of like
I
ripping a
think that's
band-aid.
normal. I think that's normal.
Yeah, I found out that is, but I wasn't
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
I found
So,
out that's normal.
and now how do you feel about it?
It's home. It's home. It's none of it is as overwhelming as it used to be. It now takes a whole different beast of it's problem solving, and so you can handle
Sure.
it. And then you kind of get into more of a routine. You understand this angle means I have to do this, and I have to sheet everything this way, and so you start to like, instead of fumbling through the steps, you are actually like doing the steps, and you build confidence in that.
Sure. I definitely, and not a lot of women will sail by themselves. Now, I've met some incredible ones that have gone around the world now, but as a rule, I hear a lot from women, by yourself? If I had $1 for every time I heard that, I'd be rich.
It's true.
Yeah,
Yes,
by
you would
myself.
be.
And
I would rather not because that wasn't the dream. But I've owned Spico now for 2 years, and for about half of that time, I lived on it solo at Anchorage, and so just recently got into a marina just to
okay.
kind of like find that baseline again for some normalcy and just kind of the conveniences of. But I won't
Yeah.
be here in this area for more than a year for sure because I didn't buy a boat to stay in one spot.
Oh, I like to hear that. Oh, and so you're at a marina now, and you're in New Smyrna Beach.
Actually, I relocated down to Fort Pierce.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The
that's
home
a
port
nice
is
area.
New Smyrna Beach, though, and
Okay.
that's where I'm from. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What's it like living aboard in New Smyrna Beach? Or we can say, what's it like living aboard in Fort Pierce?
Oh, we can do either or. Which one would you like to do?
Either one. Yeah, how about both?
The water in New Smyrna Beach is a little bit Central Florida water, so it's brown, it's murky, it's not what you would visualize your vessel on, like living your best YOLO life. Yeah, you're like, I don't know if I would want to get in that water, and so that was kind of a negative for me. Although I was very familiar with the area, there are much better locations, in my opinion, to anchor out at, and so Fort Pierce for me was that perfect ideal spot for still staying in Florida for the time and having access to the ocean. It was an immediate access,
Okay.
and the water's
Okay.
perfect.
So Fort Pierce probably for the next year. Okay.
Yep.
So, you've got some plans. You told me that you're thinking about sailing the East Coast, whole
100%.
East.
So within owning this vessel, it was just a matter of 3 weeks. Took it immediately over to Great Sail Cay and did a couple passages to and from the Bahamas, and got pretty acclimated with her and what that took. And then the next larger one, instead of doing short little minis back and forth, I would really like to go up the east coast of the United States over to Nova Scotia, Greenland, and then do the loop over in Norway.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
So that's going to be the year of like planning, researching, because I don't want to go into it completely green. Even though it will be my first time, I would like to have the education, the timing, the trade winds, just everything, and the boat all the way up for that. I'm definitely going to do it in the warmer months.
So tell me, why Norway?
It's beautiful. It is stunning. It is the mountains and the ocean mixed, and it's stunning. It's a lot of our heritage comes from that region, and Scotland and Ireland and all of that right there. So it's just kind of, I researched a lot of the lands there and based on our surname, and just was like fascinated with all of that with the genealogy. So just going and exploring that just seemed like top notch. And then the next one.
That's really cool for me. That my grandfather was from Norway.
Yeah.
And his brother, they both came over here, but I've never been. So that's, I think that's fascinating.
Would you go?
I don't like cold sailing though.
I'm researching the heaters, the diesel heaters right now, and I'm like, ooh,
maybe it's
this
like
is really
enclosure, you know, and then which I don't have a full enclosure. So I definitely, that would have to be on the list.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. So so I guess you would go in the warmer months up to do your crossing in the summer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's see. How are you preparing for that passage? Are there any parts you're still trying to figure out?
Well, in all honesty, I'm just going to keep it as simple. I am networking and talking to people that are telling me what they have done to prepare for passages that are similar. And those are my best resources. And then I listen to them. Like if they tell me this is the best heater, this is the best whatever, I research it and try to put it on the list. The list.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a name for you who's a couple that's on an island packet that I can send it to you. They do, that's all they do is cold water places. They love sleet and ice and I don't understand it, but they like the cold places better than the Caribbean. So you should probably talk to them. I'll give you
that for sure. I mean, this is a one-time thing. I probably won't spend a whole bunch of time there because I'm definitely a Florida girl. So I couldn't imagine staying in a place that was too cold for too long.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, good. So maybe I'll see you out on the water down in the Keys or something that
For sure.
after this trip.
Sure.
Okay. So obviously the trip to Norway would be your longest passage when you make that.
21 days.
Are you planning to stick to the ICW or head offshore as you move up the East Coast, or
both? Actually, I want to do both. There are a handful of spots that I think are pretty good, like little coves and nooks along the East Coast that I would also like to explore since I have a vessel and I'm able to go up. So I think I would do both.
Yeah, I guess it depends on
there are
weather.
certain sections you cannot do both, but where like there's a big chunk where you either you have to commit on one side or the other, and so I would probably do that.
Are you going to be doing this by yourself?
No.
Okay. Okay, your dogs. Let's talk about the dogs. Now, are you down to one dog now?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I saw that tribute video you did to your German Shepherd, and I was like, oh.
She was so cool. She was 13 years old, and her hindquarters were starting to give out. And so she weighed 65 pounds, and lifting her up and down the companionway was a workout all in itself. Every single walk, twice a day. But we would go out to an island and just let her roam on the beach and have a good time. And the pit bull was able to maintain because he was more of a spring chicken at that time. But yeah, we're down one dog now, and he's a handful, especially still in the small space. But before, especially with the lack of knowledge and experience, having two dogs on the boat was it was a lot. If I'm honest, it was a lot to maintain and keep up.
I want to show this right here. I love this. This shows your boat and the dog. And I just,
He's
what's his name?
Bronson.
Bronson?
Yeah, correct.
He looks very comfortable in the dinghy.
He did not know how to swim when I purchased the boat. And so he is a full water dog now. He had a learning curve exactly like I did, and he now is swimming with the dolphins and having a great time. He's very comfortable.
How old is he?
7.
Okay, so he's not he wasn't too old to learn.
No, not at all. His curiosity overtook his age by far. He was like, he would see dolphins going by, and he would go out just short enough to where his legs would now not be touching the bottom, and then he would start to learn, and he just kept looping until he actually learned how to swim, and now he's pretty good at it.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be taking my cats, like I told you, and I got little life jackets for them.
Yep. I did too. They have really good handles.
I put them on the cats, and they just kind of laid down and just sat there. So they'll have to get used to it.
They look at you like, "What are you doing to me?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about your favorite anchorage, but let's cover that towards the end. Let's see. Talk about your life coaching business.
So I kind of walk the walk in a lot of what I do. I do carnivore lifestyle and carnivore health. And I did that by learning from a doctor about my own medical needs and stuff like that. And it worked. And then I had another family did it, and it worked. And it just kind of continued. So I was like, maybe I'm onto something here. Before I was just more life coaching. And so really taking on the health and then empowerment, like learning how to problem solve. And so implementing that into life, and then getting the coaching to be a source of income so I could live the lifestyle on a boat was my creative way, the way that yours is with podcasting. It was easy, something I could do from a computer. I could have a background where I'm doing jumping jacks and showing people a workout, or just kind of encouraging them to do whatever we're putting on, but teaching just empowerment, and that people can truly problem solve and get through almost any type of adversity that they face.
So how does that blend with the sailing lifestyle? It seems like it blends perfectly.
It does blend perfectly because I change locations a lot. We have many coaches in the world, but the background, the change, the fact that it's on a sailboat, that kind of intrigues people. And then once they get in, they start implementing that same stuff into their life, and it provides money and that access as well. And the friendship, honestly, I end up being friends with people that I end up coaching. So it's been a great network.
I think it's been very empowering for me with the sailing. Just the sense of accomplishment. And, if I'm offshore somewhere, it's almost like being in church for me. It's just to see the beauty and the nature and just everything. It's extremely, gives me a sense of accomplishment,
Yep.
in a humble way.
Yep.
And it's very humbling out there because things can get out of hand quickly.
Very humbling. That's why I meant the walk, because it's easy to preach it. But when you're living with Mother Nature and your home floats, you really have to challenge yourself sometimes of what that frame of mind is. It's humbling, and you learn about yourself. You learn what you're capable of that you maybe weren't capable of before, and you maybe genuinely were not. But if you stick to it, have some stubbornness, and like get the right frame of mind, there isn't really much that you can't get through. And I think that is true in living on a boat.
Yeah, someone on the podcast said, and I'm paraphrasing, it's empowering and humbling at the same time, because it's empowering, but then you realize you are just a little smidgen on the earth, and the storms and the ocean and everything is really the boss.
Fact. Yes, there's no question. You're just along for the ride.
That's right. Yeah, and it has to be respected. When people ask me
true.
if I get scared, and I just say, scared's really not the word. I respect it. And we take all the precautions, but then in the end, if something happens, something happens. I know it's a risk. I'm sure you know it's a risk.
Mm-hmm. I
And
use that fear as the fuel to continuously do it, like to prove that I just not in that false cage, which is basically the same thing as you. And it's humbling to, when you finally get done, you're like, oh, I did it. That was crazy, you know? And then it's, you kind of like pat yourself on the back and you're like, I have no idea how that all happened. But when you slow down and you really look at everything, and you respect
Hayden, this is Hayden and Radine here. They want to know, do you teach yoga to cruisers?
I don't teach yoga, but somatic healing and getting in touch with your mind and body, and recognizing, like, say, just hyper vigilance or hyper breathing, shallow breathing, and if you're in that state of anything. So not yoga, but definitely I do short circuit 20-minute workouts, and it keeps the heart rate elevated the whole time. They're more intense than what yoga would be.
Well, just think about your services in Georgetown. You know about Georgetown, right? In the Exumas.
Yeah.
It's a whole sailboat community down there, especially in the winter. You would have lots of customers there of all. Yes. That's what my goal. I want to try to get there later this year.
When are you going to go?
I'm shooting for maybe leaving here like in Gulf Shores, Orange Beach in November 1st, and try to be gone for 2 months. And I'd like to get to the Exumas for the first time. I've made it to Nassau before, but I've never been to Georgetown. And I've interviewed many people on this podcast, and it is someplace that I really want to go soon. So,
yeah. Okay, but, I'm going to keep that in mind. Thank you for passing that along. I might think about some of that. I got time.
Like, there would be people there that would probably want your services. And there's a lot of bartering going on, and it's a very I can't think of the word. People are so gracious with their knowledge, and they're very helpful. They're very generous with their time. Like if you need help, you need a part. It just sounds like a great sailboat community down there in the wintertime.
What? Right? Georgetown?
Georgetown, also known as Chicken Harbor. Okay. Because a lot of people, they go down that far and they think they're going to go further, and then they chicken out and they just stay there because it's so comfortable. And it's so much fun. Huh?
Is that how it got its name?
Yeah, Chicken Harbor is unofficially known as that because people because if you go further south of there, it gets kind of rough, you know.
Yeah.
It gets a little more challenging with the sailing and the weather and everything.
Okay.
So, but anyway, we'll talk about that.
Thank you.
Yes. What's one lesson sailing has taught you that really applies to everyday life? We kind of talked about that already, but
yeah, not to get overwhelmed with the stuff. You have to prioritize it and like put it in order so you can get through whatever it is. So prioritize.
Okay. Yeah. And have you learned anything about maintenance or any of that?
Yes. I didn't realize I was signing up to be an electrician, a plumber, all of the above. I thought I was just going to sail and live my best life. But yeah, you learn to do, change the filters to the water maker. You learn about solar panels because I have bifacial solar panels, which is amazing. And then also how to change a joker valve in a toilet. And then also,
Wow.
just that all of it. You end up learning a lot.
You did this to yourself?
Not at first, but I have in those experiences I did by myself. Yes. And this is what saved me. Google or YouTube. YouTube, if I'm honest. Like emergency how to change a joker valve because I just didn't know. I didn't even know.
That's amazing.
I didn't know what was happening. I just knew my toilet was backing up and acting really bad. And it was a mess. So you just learn.
Was it a clog? A clog?
It was the actual valve itself wasn't flapping anymore. And so from the tank, it was backing up and overflowing.
Ooh, okay.
And
Okay.
I didn't. And so every time a wake would come by from another vessel, because I was at Anchorage, I was like, I'm in about an inch of my own mess. And I'll leave it at that verbiage.
Wow. And you figured that out. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what you end up having to do. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it now.
Definitely.
You end up learning a lot.
I got to get off the credit card teat, because I call my the company that works on my boat. I call them, and I've got to get off that. I've got to stop being dependent on other people to do the maintenance on my boat. So I'm in awe of that, and I do have to learn that.
I have not. This is one thing that I so far am proud of, but it's also very humbling, as you have said. Anything that has been any type of maintenance, whether it's the original engine, which is a Yanmar, everything has been maintained to that level, and it's still that level.
Awesome.
And so it's neat to preserve it.
Well, that's cool. So Hayden and Radine are watching, and they would probably know who the former owners are of your boat. It's Sailing Vessel Alibi was the name, Hayden.
Yep.
So I'm wondering and what were their names again?
Ann and Daryl. I think it's Sadler or Stadler.
Okay. Yeah. He'll speak up if he's still listening. He knows everybody.
Everybody. Oh yeah. And they knew everybody too. They're a really cool couple.
Yeah, it's really a nice community, isn't it? And Hayden runs that Facebook page, and it's just got everything. That's another thing you can search. That's another great resource because everybody's asked that question. And if you need to upgrade something or something's broken or where you need to order it, all the answers are there. Do you use that as a resource?
What resource was it again?
The Island Packet Facebook group for the owners.
I have not as much. Every blue moon I normally do exactly what I said. I YouTube and just immediately like resource and Google and what do I do with this, and normally do that, but I probably should reach out more if I'm honest. I probably have less.
All you got to do is go up there and search, and somebody's asked the question before, probably. And if they haven't, then you just post your question and it's all there. So Hayden says, oh yes, we know them. Was it not 35 Cheris? I don't know what that is.
And it was Daryl and Ann.
Okay. So nope, that's not it.
Sorry, guys.
Let's see what we got here. What advice would you give someone who wants to combine boat life with meaningful work, which is what you're doing?
Prepare to find balance. And this is what I mean by that. There have been times where I was scheduled to have a client meeting for an hour, and there was a thunderstorm. There was a lot of racket going on, and the connection was not bad. So you have to just, instead of getting disappointed, you have to reschedule. And so a lot of that balance and prioritizing things, again, you have to set the stage. And I love it. If I'm honest, yes.
Daryl and Ann from Chesapeake Bay. I'm not sure I know your boat.
They're in
Well,
Texas now.
yeah, they were in the Keys for 11 years.
Yep. Key West also,
Okay.
primarily.
They didn't have a home back.
It was Spiker, or it was Alibi, SV Alibi back then.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so you do have Starlink?
Yes, and I toggle it on and off. I got the marine package, which in the Bahamas was lightning fast. I did not expect that, and it was fabulous. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to do anything online, to go ahead and just bite the bullet. And I know that it's more expensive, but it's worth it if that's what you're basing your income off of.
So the marine package, meaning the $5,000 marine package?
You can toggle it on and off, though, so then you can also pay it monthly through Starlink.
I've got the $160 a month package that I can toggle on and off. You didn't have to upgrade your package when you went to the Bahamas? Wow.
No, all the satellites aim down.
Wow, that's great. Okay. And I know that Hayden and Radine use theirs as well. So
Do they have the marine package?
Well, I think it's called the mobile package now. The marine package. When I think of the marine package, I think of the big one that's $5,000 and it's, I don't know how much a month for like yachts and things.
Yes, 100%. I do not have that package. I have I do not have that package.
That
I have
blow the budget.
Yeah, it would totally blow the budget. I have to do far more push-ups.
Oh, we have the Rome 150 a month. No, wait a minute. I don't have the 150 a month.
Oh, nice.
Mine's 160.
I'm taking notes right now. I'm learning a lot right now on this.
Okay, well, they're in St. Martin and they know, and they've used theirs all along the way. Okay, so all right, here's one. Just for fun, what's one thing you always have on board besides the dog, of course?
Coffee.
Coffee?
Coffee.
Is that what you said?
100% of the time, coffee. Yes.
That's okay.
What else do you need?
You're my kind of gal right there. As long as I have coffee, I'm good.
Yeah, that's for coffee.
Oh, I love that answer.
Yeah.
All right.
Coffee.
So let's pull up your anchorage in Fort Pierce.
Okay.
I'm going to pull up Google Maps. I'm going to go to Fort Pierce. All right, and I'm going to put this on the screen. And you tell me where to go.
Okay. If you
Is this
right there? Okay, so you see the purple go. Okay, so you're in the inlet, and that was actually the first inlet that I left from Indian Town, where I actually purchased the vessel, but came into this inlet. And so scroll to the right.
This way?
Yes, ma'am. Correct. Okay, so if you see that island
right here,
right, go to the left with the mouse. Yes, ma'am. Perfect. So that is the island where I anchored for about a year.
Wow.
Right there.
Spoil Island.
And, yep. And the two hurricanes that just hit Florida like the past year.
Yeah.
We were anchored on exactly where your mouse is at.
Right here.
And yep. And a little bit more to the left. Yes, perfect. Right there. Perfect. Yep. Okay, so right there is excellent because the traffic is not too bad. It's a no-wake zone. And
really, it's a no-wake zone. That's nice.
I know. They do get some wakes, though, but tons of vessels come right here and kind of collect. and then jump over to the Bahamas from this port. And that was actually the very first passage, was from that inlet to Great Sail Cay. I think under like less than a month was doing that. And that is a great spot. That island right there is basically doesn't even have a person on it Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, everybody kind of gathers there and has a big barbecue or stuff, and people like beach up. It's a great location. And the water is perfect. The storms get a little hasty, so having a substantial anchor is definitely needed. I've seen many boats come unanchored, including myself. Like if you look to the middle of the right screen where it says Chuck's Seafood Restaurant, right next to it is the Coast Guard. And at one point in time, we were anchored next to the island, and a 65-mile-per-hour knot storm came through and almost put the vessel on the rocks that are right there at that point where the Coast Guard is. So we get some pretty good storms in this location. So it's something to be aware of, but if you take the right precautions, you're good. Base right where you're right next to that's the Chuck's restaurant. Right to the right of it is the Coast Guard base, and then if you see right to the right of that, there is a marina, and that is currently where I'm at for the Faber Cove. So we actually went and moved the vessel during those hurricanes further south, but then the hurricane changed direction and actually came closer. Talking about is right here, this little nook. Go further down. Yep. That's exactly what he's talking about. And this entire area, you can see the little vessels over here to the right. It was packed. Everybody was there. And then after the hurricanes, drove through the boat work yard, and a couple vessels were being worked on their maintenance. There's all kinds of cool fish in here. And I mean, again, the ocean is right there. So it's easy sailing for just learning.
I just had to pull up my phone.
Did you? I went to check my phone to make sure that it wasn't my connect. It's because of the way
everything just froze on me. So I just thought I'd come on here. Let's see. Hayden says something here. What does it say? Oh my God, that's my IPYOA Island Packet calendar over your left shoulder.
Yes.
Sure. That's it.
I promise you it is. It's really cool too. And so Spica is November. Yeah. And she's a great vessel. It was really cool. Yeah, it's a great community. I promise. I learned in the boat life that you get a really cool community that comes with it, and everybody's willing to help, like genuinely help. And that was needed, especially for somebody as green as me that didn't have any experience.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It built me up. I needed it for sure.
All right. Well,
there you are.
He says, hello. I've been doing this 30 years.
Yeah. Only 2 for me. So it's still got 28 years to learn.
I guess since my all my equipment is failing, maybe we should go ahead and end it. Unless you've got something you want to say or any questions you want to put out there for Hayden, because he knows everything. You've got his full attention right now.
I don't necessarily have any questions right now for Hayden, but I'm sure that I will reach out to him for sure, and I appreciate that from him and you. I feel open to that, and both of you have made me feel that way. So that's awesome.
Well, good. You know, he's on an Island Packet 35 as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah, he knows everything about that boat. He also knows. I think she has joined.
I have.
Yeah, she's on there. Mm-hmm. But I had an Island Packet. I had an Island Packet 27 to begin with, and he had an Island Packet 27. I always forget, but I think it was 15 years. It was a long time. I always forget the years. But yeah. I've called him in a panic about a few times, so he was very helpful.
I have
Uh,
a couple that I have leaned on, particularly a lot on the first year was Mike and Connie Parsons. They also have an island packet, and they kept pushing, you're definitely going to want an island packet. And ultimately they were not wrong. And then he introduced me to Hayden and that's the whole community basically. And so the island packet community itself is huge and also very helpful.
Yeah, and that a lot has to do with him because he's super organized, and all the information is there for us if we want to do anything on any of our boats. So it's really nice. Thank you, Hayden.
Yeah, seriously.
But, I would love to buddy boat with you sometime in the Keys or wherever. You know, I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime to do any of that. And I would love to plan something with you for sure. Anytime
Okay.
to do anything, you know, like even go over to Bahamas, like you were saying, or just whatever that is. And like buddy boat, I'm about it. I've done it with a couple other vessels before. And so anytime I would be grateful for that opportunity.
That is awesome. You can't have too many friends, right? And
Right.
Hayden, are you going to be in the Bahamas in November or December? Let's see if he answers. He keeps his boat in like St. Martin or Antigua or any of those. They've been keeping it down there in the summertime, and they come home, and then I think they go back in either November or December. So, Hayden, are you going to be in Exumas anytime soon? Anytime this year? Next year? But anyway, so I'll be keeping up with you, and I do want to do this again. And before you take off, you know, on your trip,
Okay. Absolutely.
definitely,
100%.
you're going to do that. Oh, he's going to do Caribbean the next few years, so you're definitely going to do that first, right? Before you make any Bahamas or any Keys or anything. Is that right?
I would probably do another round over to the Bahamas before I did that one, just to kind of get loosened up a little bit, and then shortly afterwards make that departure. Like I would probably do that and get some of that Florida, Caribbean, or like island sun before I went somewhere cold. Or
yeah. Maybe we can meet in Key Biscayne or something. All right. Well, yeah, and Hayden has taught me a lot about Key Biscayne. But okay, well, thank you. I'm sorry about all the difficulties with the technology. Sometimes it just does that. It gets overwhelmed, I guess. But and I will thank you so much, and I will talk to you again soon.
I appreciate you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for coming on.
All right.
Salty Abandon, out.